While the world was glued to their screens, watching Ne Zha face impossible odds, few knew that the real story behind the film was even more interesting. Jiaozi, the director, spent 18 years struggling against rejection, failure, and a dream that seemed impossible. After graduation, he found himself with a pharmacy degree he didn't want, living with his parents, and surviving on his mother's pension of just 1,000 yuan. For years, no one believed in him, yet Jiaozi refused to quit. What kept him moving forward when everything seemed to go against him? What drove him to keep going when all he had was his belief that someday his work would speak for itself? This is the story of Jiaozi, a man who went from struggling in a small room to becoming the force behind one of the biggest animated films in history. Jiaozi was born Yang Yu in 1980 in Luzhou, Sichuan. From a young age, he loved comics and wanted to be a cartoonist. His passion was clear. Half his school desk was always covered with books, the other half with his sketch pad. Every chance he got, he was drawing, completely lost in his world of imagination. But as time went on, things didn't go as smoothly as he hoped. Yu started to realize that even though he loved drawing, being a cartoonist might not be enough to support him in the future. Everywhere he looked, people were focused on traditional, respected careers. Lawyers, doctors, engineers, jobs that were seen as stable and successful. Cartooning, on the other hand, was just a hobby to most people, something that couldn't provide financial security. So, he decided to follow in his parents' footsteps and study medicine. Both of his parents were doctors, so it seemed like the right choice at the time. Yu enrolled at the West China School of Pharmacy, and for 2 years, he stuck with it. But deep down, he knew something wasn't right. Even though he was following a safe path, Yu couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He needed something more, something that could truly make him feel alive. Then, he discovered 3D animation. It wasn't just about making beautiful images, it was about telling stories that could touch people's hearts. The thought that one person could create an entire world with just a computer and imagination was like a spark inside him. So, after graduation, Yang Yu made the brave decision to leave medicine behind. It wasn't an easy choice, and the people around him didn't understand. "You're throwing away a solid future," they said. "Why risk it all for this dream?" But Yu didn't listen. He knew this was what he wanted. He started making short, animated films on his own, teaching himself everything. He had no formal training, no one to guide him. The people around him didn't understand, but he kept going. That was when he chose his nickname, first calling himself Jiao Kelly, a mix of Chinese and Western sounds. But it didn't feel right. He felt it was a bit hard to pronounce, so he changed it to Jiaozi, a name that felt unique and connected to his Chinese roots, and one that he truly loved. A name he would carry into the future. After his father passed away, life became even harder. The only income his family had was his mother's monthly pension of just 1,000 yuan. He lived with her, depending entirely on that small pension. During these tough years, Jiaozi felt hopeless at times. While others were moving forward in their careers, he didn't have a steady income or a stable job. Every day felt like a struggle. His meals were basic, often just discounted supermarket items, and his clothes were old and worn. Buying new clothes seemed like a luxury he couldn't afford. He didn't even have the internet at home and tried to stay inside as much as possible, avoiding going out. For 3.5 years, Yu was trapped in a small, confined space, stuck in a routine. His world was limited to just the living room, bedroom, and bathroom. It was a period when everything felt difficult, and it seemed like his dreams were slipping farther away. But Yu kept on working hard. He didn't let the struggles stop him. Instead, he used them to push himself even harder. His love for animation was so deep, and he spent every spare moment working on his craft. What kept him going during these tough times wasn't just his own strength, it was his mother's quiet support. Even when everything felt uncertain, she never gave up on him, always by his side. Her belief in him helped him keep pushing forward and motivating him to do greater things. During these transformative years, Yu worked on his 16-minute animated short film, Hit a Big Watermelon. And in 2009, the film was released, and it was a success. The film was recognized in the Best Animation Short Film Award category at the 6th China Animation Golden Dragon Award. It also won more than 30 awards from both China and around the world, including the Special Jury Award at the Berlin International Short Film Festival. People even called it the light of original Chinese animation. Yet, even with all of these, Yu was still largely unknown. But he knew that this was just the beginning. Something big was about to happen. something that would change his life for good. After the struggles of his early years, Yu set up his own studio and threw himself into a new project, a project that would soon take the world by storm. He poured his heart into it, working tirelessly for 2 years to write the screenplay, and then dedicating 3 years to bring it to life. The production of this huge film wasn't easy. It took all of his skills, full determination, and the help of a team that believed in his vision. The project was huge, not just in size, but in the level of creativity it needed. Over 1,600 people worked on it, putting in countless hours of effort. Every shot, every detail, every special effect had to be planned carefully and done just right. But the size of the project was only part of the challenge. For Yu, the real test was managing such a large team. He was in charge of the entire production, from the script to the animation, from the art design to the final special effects. He worked non-stop, often under a lot of pressure. There were moments when he doubted if they could pull it off, when the weight of the responsibility seemed too much to bear. But he pressed on, knowing that the stakes were high, not just for him, but for the entire animation industry in China. And when the film finally hit theaters, it was more than just a triumph for Yibo. It was a triumph for Chinese animation, a victory that would be remembered for years to come. In 2019, Ne Zha was released in China, first in IMAX and China Film Giant screen theaters, making history as the first Chinese-produced animated film ever to be shown in IMAX format. The movie wasn't just big, it was monumental. The film tells the story of Ne Zha, a well-known character from Chinese mythology, and his journey to become a hero despite the will of the heavens. But Yu didn't just retell the myth, he gave it a new twist. In his version, Ne Zha's parents are loving and understanding, and the story focuses on overcoming stereotypes and the struggle to fit in. Yu said that after thinking for a long time, he realized Ne Zha was the right character to express his theme, breaking stereotypes and changing fate. Ne Zha, a demon born into the wrong body, didn't fit the usual hero image. He wasn't the perfect, good-looking character that people often expect. He wanted to challenge today's focus on appearance, showing that true worth comes from inner qualities, not just how someone looks on the outside. The world loved it. Despite being his debut feature film and having no big-name actors in its voice cast, Ne Zha became a massive success. It broke records, becoming the highest-grossing animated film in China and the worldwide highest-grossing non-US animated film at the time. With a box office of over 5 billion yuan and 140 million viewers, it became a milestone for Chinese animation. At first, no one believed a former medical student could make a successful animation. When Yu entered the industry, he faced discrimination and doubt. But with Ne Zha, he proved everyone wrong. With the success of Ne Zha, Yu found himself not just financially stable, but with a newfound understanding of his own power. Looking back at the earlier days, those years of struggle, self-doubt, and loneliness, he saw them not as setbacks, but as important parts of his journey. Those moments when everything seemed hopeless, those sacrifices that seemed unbearable, they were all part of the things that led to his success. In his heart, he knew that the person he had become wasn't just the product of his hard work, but also the result of his persistence, his refusal to let go of his dreams. The struggles and failures weren't just obstacles, they were lessons that pushed him to innovate, to take risks, and to challenge the status quo. And when Ne Zha was released, it wasn't just a win for him. It was a victory for anyone who had ever faced doubt and hardship in the pursuit of something bigger than themselves. As the years passed, the world demanded, even begged for Ne Zha 2. So, for the next 5 years, Jiaozi and his team worked tirelessly on Ne Zha 2, The Devil Boy Conquers the Dragon King, continuing to create magic that would captivate audiences around the world. Finally, on January 29, 2025, the highly anticipated Ne Zha 2 was released during the Chinese New Year, and it quickly became a worldwide sensation. In just a few days, the film broke multiple box office records, grossing $1.6 billion against an $80 million budget. Ne Zha 2 became the highest-grossing film in China, the highest-grossing non-English language film, and the first to reach the $1 billion milestone. It wasn't just a commercial success. It also struck a chord with audiences everywhere, especially with its portrayal of love, sacrifice, and destiny. Beyond the accolades and record-breaking success, the film's impact ran much deeper. Ne Zha 2 wasn't just a reflection of the ancient myth. it was also the story of Jiaozi's own journey, his struggles, his perseverance, and the love and support from his parents. In many ways, the Ne Zha we see on screen, a young hero defying fate, mirrors Jiaozi's own journey. Like Ne Zha, Jiaozi faced rejection and doubt from everyone around him. People thought he was crazy to pursue animation after studying medicine. Yet, despite the odds, he pushed forward, driven by a vision to tell stories that matter. His parents' support, especially during his most difficult times, gave him the courage to change his fate and follow his dream. Jiaozi chose Ne Zha as a symbol of rebellion and resilience because he saw so much of himself in the character. Ne Zha's story of refusing to accept his fate resonated deeply with him, and it's a message he wanted to share with others, especially young people still chasing their dreams. As Jiaozi himself once said, "If you ask me whether people can change their fate, I don't know, but I do know that refusing to accept fate, that is Ne Zha." In the end, Ne Zha wasn't just a film, it was proof that dreams can come true, no matter how impossible they seem. It's a reminder to always let our passions come first. Just like Ne Zha, Jiaozi fought for his destiny, and with hard work, belief, and the love of those closest to him, he became the hero of his own story.